right? I would lash out at people because of something maybe they said to me or something they did. When you affect your brain and you change your brain, everything you do will be differently. When I look down the street and I see somebody, what I'm trying to say is, what's their history? I wonder if their mom or dad is still alive. I wonder if they have children. I wonder what this person has seen. I wonder what the worst thing that's ever happened to that person is. I wonder what's that person stressing about right now. Get trippy thoughts like that. Weird out like that. Geek out like that, You have this problem and I have this problem, right? And it's this. We get stuck in our routine. We get stuck in our week. We get stuck in what we're doing, and we forget to kind of take a look at everything in general and in its context, and we get stressed out about it, right? We think about tomorrow, and then you get to tomorrow and you think about tomorrow instead of thinking about your whole week and thinking about weeks from now. Everybody does this, right? I do it too. But the thing is this. I struggle with that, and I was able to come up with a mindset that helped me deal with it, and I want to share that mindset to you, right? So here's what it is. I like to work hard. I like to stay busy, and I would do that, right? But when you do that, it's hard to, like I was just saying, keep a context of where you are in your life. You think from day to day because you're just worried about, all the work you have to do that day. So I'd be stressed out, right? Lash out at people because of something maybe they said to me or something they did that I took offense to right in that moment, right? Because everything was in the moment for me. I was just living in the moment, a very unhealthy thing to do if you do it too much. And whenever I would try to make decisions to fix things, especially when you're stressed out for time, you oftentimes make decisions that, are not going to be good in the long run. They're not actually fixing anything, and in fact, they may set you back. And I know you guys have had this problem. I have it too, right? You get stressed out, and, a lot of times you just think, well, you got to remember in those moments that, you got to try to remember those moments that you're not going to be stressed out forever, and you need to kind of take a step back, and that's exactly right. That's what you need to do. And what I want to present in this video is not only doing that, but taking it a step further for your whole life, okay? So the way I got into this is I had those same problems. I knew I kind of needed to step back, but I saw a Jocko Willing clip, and in the clip, he mentioned how the solution to your problem is never in the problem, how you have to take a step outside of the problem and look at it from a different perspective or from a third person point of view to really fix the problem. And that helped me a lot. And it helped me a lot because I liked looking at it from a different perspective. So I took that advice and that general advice that, everybody kind of knows that, yeah, you need to take a step back, but I wanted to take it further. I wanted to take it to where I didn't even, necessarily come to things with their surface level appearance in mind. I wanted to be thinking about the whole thing, the whole picture, the whole package, right? The whole box. I wanted it all, and that's what I want to share with you today. I call it zooming out, right? Maybe you've heard this before. Zooming out. That's what I want to share. And I want to kind of share it with three main ways. The first one is, what is zooming out, right? I've kind of mentioned some of the things that helped me when I was trying to do it. So maybe you have an idea, but that's my first point. What's zooming out? The second one is thinking about zooming out as a worldview, right? As, like I said, taking it a step further and thinking of it as, okay, this is something I do with everything. I bring this mindset to the table for every single thing that I do. The third one is what exactly it can bring you, right? What will happen when you initiate this mindset and you really start to take it to that next level and make it something that is universal for you in what you do. And I want to start with the third thing and work my way up to actually what it is. So if I start talking about it and you don't think it's interesting, then please, by all means, leave a video. But I want to kind of let you know what it is, and then we'll finally get to the end of what zooming out actually is so that you can kind of get a better understanding of it as we move on. So, number 3, right? The third point. Said I was going to start with the third point. What it can do for you. I'm going to say what it did for me, and that's this, right? It took a lot of my ego away. It gave me a lot of clarity. It made me be able to interact with people better. It gave me more wisdom and more knowledge. And, and in a sense too, it kind of led me to collaborate with people more. It led me to maybe understand people more, which helped me to collaborate with other people, right? And it allowed me to solve problems in a better way because I was giving long-term solutions to the problems I had. And I think in general, you can sum all that up by just saying, it's going to change everything you do. Because I've talked about this in other videos. Your brain interacts with every single thing that you do, right? It's like your hands, but really it touches what you're trying to touch before your hands touch it because you're thinking about it. You're trying to figure out, your brain has to send the signal to your hand for you to, actually even touch the thing. So if you can improve your brain, you can improve how you handle everything, right? Everything, because your brain is handling and touching everything. So in a sense, by improving your brain with zooming out and by kind of thinking of everything as a whole, right, and its context, you can change every single thing that you do for the better because you always want long-term solutions. And zooming out really focuses on long-term solutions because you're looking in the past and in the future and in your present, and you're bringing them all together. You're connecting it, right? So I would say that's probably the best things it did for me and what it can do for you. And that's why I want to bring this to your attention, right? Is I think this can really, really help you out in your life. If you're struggling with stress, whatever, the things I mentioned, I really think it can help you. So listen to me. Second point, how do you use that perspective as a worldview? How do you take it to everything? And I would just say it's day in and day out what you do, right? It's day in, day out, whatever you look at, whatever you're trying to do, that's, you're bringing that perspective to it. And that's not to say that like, you should never look at something for its surface value and, you should never judge a book by its cover, to say, even though that's I don't like that saying. It's not to say you should never do that, but it's to say that you should always have the mindset in your back pocket and the perspective of, with whatever I do, I'm looking at things in a whole, right? And once you start to bring this perspective in your back pocket into the table multiple times, again and again and again, it becomes a habit. And you'll be surprised, you just look at things differently, right? And that's what I'm saying, guys, is that when you affect your brain and you change your brain, everything you do will be differently. So always try to improve your brain and strive to increase in wisdom and knowledge, because your brain interacts with everything you do first, right? And then the next move follows. So if you can come to something before you even lay hands on it and already understand it better, when you do lay hands on it, you're gonna actually lay hands on it better. And that is how it can create longer term solutions than just looking at something on a surface level, because you're already coming to it with the perspective of history, with the perspective of my emotions, with the perspective of, I need to stop and I need to really put all my emotions away, think of myself as a third person, think of this self as somebody that's not you, and look at the solution and say what's best. And when you can do that, and when you can put away emotions, when you can put away stress, when you can put away everything except kind of logic, really, you can create really long-term solutions that are really great and that are actually going to outlive you, right? And they're not just going to be, politician moves that only last for 4 years so they can get a vote, right? They're going to last thousands of years. You know what I mean? So that is why you want to come at it with an all-encompassing worldview and just an all-encompassing mindset of everything around you. You think of it like that, because whatever you touch will kind of, in a sense, not turn to gold, but just be better because of it. So, even simple things, right? Everything gets better because of it. So that's why you should want to think of it as a worldview. So you think of it as a worldview, right? You know what it's going to give you. You know what it does for you. You know how all-encompassing it is. So what is it? And, I think the best way to describe it would just be context. Zooming out is all about context, okay? Zooming out is all about a complete picture of something. The best understanding of something is the complete picture of something. So if you take it like that, zooming out can mean many things. Zooming out could mean something more than just in the moment trying to think about, the context of a situation. It could mean actually increasing in knowledge so you know more about a situation, right? So it could be, okay, I work this job, right, and I get stressed out about it a lot. So in the moment, you could zoom out and you could say, like, okay, like, I understand I'm not going to work here forever. In 30 years, nobody here will know my name, right? And really, even if I fail today, I have so much more time to make it happen and everything will be okay. But why do I want to do a good job? Well, I want to do a good job because, this is I want to build a person, maybe a personal brand, you could say. I want to build myself to be somebody who's consistently doing good. Or you could say, I'm a Christian, I want to glorify God. Or you could say, like, something that is above the work and not just, I need to do a good job, I'm stressing, but come into it with a real reason and real context behind it, and you do better. That's kind of in the moment, right? But you could also use the history of your job to also kind of motivate you and zoom out, right? So if you say you work at say you're a server at a restaurant, right? Look at that restaurant's history. Find out the owner's history. Find out the owner's family. Find out more. Get context. And I can almost promise you a lot of times that'll motivate you to do better because you know what you're doing more. And when you're unfamiliar with what you're working with and you're unfamiliar with, how you're coming at it and what you're even going to, you're not going to put as much effort into it. But when you have complete clarity, right? Which clarity, that's one of the things this mindset gives you. When you have complete clarity, you can come to something way better and with way more vigor and more power and more energy, right? So history could be a part of it, right? Or it could just still be in the moment. But in both of those situations, what are you wanting to do? You're wanting to completely understand what you are grasping and what you are doing so you can do it better, right? So maybe it's not even about completing a task as well, right? Example, when you look at a tree, right, a lot of people would say, okay, that's an oak, or man, that's a big tree, or wow, that tree is just very tall. That, people would say that. But what if when you looked at a tree, you said, man, I wonder how much oxygen that's putting out. I wonder how many animals call that their home. I wonder how many microorganisms live on that tree. I wonder what this tree has seen, right, in its history. I wonder, and that's what I'm saying is, like, you should use this as a complete mindset, not just something that you're looking at for your job or for a task, something to, kind of keep the stress away from your job or something to help you do the job better, but it should be something that's just all encompassing to where whatever you look at, you think of it in its context. And, even if it's not like a job or something you need to complete, looking at something in its complete context makes you appreciate it more, right? I appreciate that tree because I know it does X, Y, Z. I know that it shelters these two birds that I watch all the time. I know that this tree has seen a famous war. Or I know this tree was around during this certain time. Makes you appreciate it more, right? And so if you take that past a tree, now you really start to get what the benefits and what zooming out is, right? Imagine you walk down the street and you see a person. You're probably thinking, okay, look at their face. You're probably thinking, look at their shoes, their clothes. And unfortunately, a lot of us probably looking at their skin color, okay? That's so surface level, right? When I look down the street and I see somebody, what I'm trying to say is, what's their history? I wonder if their mom or dad is still alive. I wonder if they have children. I wonder what this person has seen. I wonder what the worst thing that's ever happened to that person is. I wonder what's that person stressing about right now. I wonder where that person works. I wonder where they're going even. Like, I wonder how much money they have. I wonder why they bought those shoes. I wonder why they did that. And you start to think of a person almost, you start to think of them as the complex being that they are. And that leads you back into what does zooming out do for you? It allows more collaboration because you understand people better, because you don't just look at a person as like an image, a moving image, right? You know, you're actually looking at them as an emotional being and an image of God, just like you are, right? That allows for more connection, more collaboration, more understanding, right? Which really, if you look at it on the world stage, would probably lead to less violence, right? Less wars, because we understand better, and we're looking at things in terms of history, right? We're not looking in the moment for this election. We're looking in terms of 100 years of history, right? So I know this hasn't been like a total explanation, but I'm trying to explain it by how you would use it in different circumstances. And I just think the best way to describe it is just a totality of understanding, going past the surface level, right? And this should even go for yourself. I just made this video about how you should be looking in the mirror and you need to know yourself, right? This is kind of what I'm saying you need to do in that video for yourself. You need to look past the surface level of yourself, right? The surface level is existing. You exist day after day after day. You just move and move and move. But stop with me for a second. Stop with me. You're a human. You're a sentient human. And I'm kind of tripping out thinking about that right now too, because I'm just talking to a camera and I'm doing this and I'm alive and I'm existing and oh my gosh. You know what I mean? Get trippy thoughts like that. Weird out like that. Geek out like that, you know? That is the type of zooming out and understanding that is gonna really help you. And that's what zooming out is, right? It's just understanding everything in its complete totality and context. And it's doing it on a mental, deep, almost emotional level, right? So when you do these things and when you're able to make it a worldview and you're able to make it a practice and you're able to keep doing it again and again and again, I can promise you it'll help you, because it helped me. And it helped me think about the world in a different way. It helped reduce my anxiety because I understand that, you know, throughout history, there's been people just like me, right? There's been kids just like me who want to do something great, you know what I mean? And they had to work a job and there's been people all throughout history just like me, just humans just like me. Or when I go into work, right, and I'm like, man, I don't want to be here. What do I think about? Okay, I make this money, I put it into the economy. You know, when I buy things, groceries, it's a small amount of money, but I matter. I'm a part of something bigger. And what's the United States a part of? The earth. And the earth is who knows what's out there? But do you see when you go deep and deep and deep, you get smaller and your problems get smaller and smaller and smaller, because your problems are really not that big. They're not that big. So this is what zooming out is, right? And you look at it with everything. And I can assure you that a lot of the things I talked about, if not all of them, you'll more wisdom, more understanding, right? More clarity, especially because you can come to something and know what it is. You're not kicking against a wall and punching against a wall, and you're not struggling in something that you don't understand. You're working in through something that is amazing, right? That you do understand and that you do get. And it's beautiful. So I really hope this helps you. I know it will. Thank you for watching this video till the end. God bless you.